Good evening, everyone. Greetings and love. I'm Marcia with Gnoshery Libertas, and you are joining us this evening for Sanctuary episode 42, and it is November 14th, 2022. And every week we get together on Monday nights at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time to bring forth the light transmission or the theme from Spirit. And Spirit is what I call Holy Spirit, Great Spirit, the part of God that not only moves through us, source energy, but also has that eagle eye perspective. The part of us that we can tap into when we're in our heart that allows us to access that greater divine aspect that allows us to come from a more responsive place rather than a reactive place to the things that are happening in our lives. So we come together to join hearts, to join minds, to create this alchemy and to listen and fully receive what the energies are that Spirit would like us to focus on. Because the more that we understand the bigger picture, we also have these practical action steps that we can take that make life on earth just a little bit easier. And we often realize that some of the things that we think are personal to us are actually more of a collective energy that we are all walking through. And so we get to walk through this together. And this is one of the ways that we can do this, is to come together in this space. And so if you would like to join us as a live guest on our call, you can check us out on either patreon.com/Gnoshery Libertas or on buymeacoffee.com/Gnoshery Cafe. And you will become part of our private communities at that point in time and receive access to all of our live calls, as well as receive discounted rates on our one-to-one readings and our mentorships. So please feel free to check that out. And for those of you listening on the replay, we can feel you. We feel you in this present space. In fact, you can probably hear my voice shaking a little bit tonight. The energy is very intense. And the light transmission that we are going to be bringing through is called Making It Real. So this is about the unseen energies, the behind the scene, the invisible magic from the realms of spirit that are moving from that spiritual plane of existence through the mental and emotional planes into our physical reality. And we're also going to be talking about some of the supporting energies that are going to help us make it real, that we are moving through some big endings right now, but we also have some really beautiful beginnings. It is requiring us to shed some old skin, which is not always comfortable, but Spirit wants to remind us that you've got the love, and we're encouraged to see beyond the illusion and to begin to fully trust the mystery. So the very first energy that I want to speak to around making it real is this turnstile of endings and beginnings that we are collectively, but also personally and individually walking through at this time. And for those of you that do one-on-one readings with me or who have been on our calls before, you'll know that Spirit often uses lyrics from songs as I'm meditating to help me take some of these larger concepts that might be harder for our linear mind to understand, so that we can get a grasp that Spirit is hearing our prayers, that, even though life may always be, peachy from the realms of soul and from that higher perspective, that we are being acknowledged in the humanness and in, some of the more heavier emotions that come with the human spectrum and living in this physical form. So with the frequency of endings and beginnings, the very first lyrics to come through were, "Words are bouncing around my head, can't stop their echoing, tripping on that negative. But you call me lovely. You say I'm wonderfully made. Your river floods me. Your words feel like a symphony, the way you love me, the way you know me. I'm going to soak in it." And this feeling, once again, that the divine is reaching forward for us as our beloved. And yet it's so easy to listen to the words bouncing around our heads, these echoes tripping on the negative. And yet Spirit says, I call you lovely. I know that you are wonderfully made, and I allow my river of life to flood you and my words to feel like a symphony through you, to remind us that we are loved. Because the next lyrics were, am I good enough? Do I measure up? It feels like a war I can't win. And so once again, this acknowledgement from Spirit that on the human physical level, it is not always easy. And particularly during this time of endings where we are releasing all that doesn't serve us. And we talked last week specifically that this release is about righting all imbalances of power in our lives, that this is the embodiment of the ultimate wake up call in order to get us aligned with what we truly came here to do and who we came here to be. And yet, this is the most fierce form of the dark divine feminine, that which brings all things to life or to an end. And Spirit says we're experiencing the fullness of time right now, a completion of cycles. And so, if we're noticing patterns or what I call weaves coming up that seem familiar or seem like something we have experienced in our past, we are encouraged to know that they are coming up to be recognized, upwoven, and released. Now, what do I mean by upwoven? Well, that's my term for when we take a weave that is at a lower frequency, and through our discernment and our love, we then quote upweave it, or we change it to a frequency that is more in alignment with love. And so when we recognize one of these familiar patterns, we begin to pause and we move into the stillness, which allows us to respond from an authentic, heart-centered space rather than a reactive, triggered place. And so Spirit will always reveal to us the attitudes, the energies, the focus, and the direction we need in order to reweave or upweave one of our old patterns. And so when we receive this information, usually through meditation, we become the artisans and alchemists of our soul, the slaying of all of our demons, illusions, and false beliefs. And while that sounds great, it doesn't always feel that good. And so Spirit wants to remind us that the mother of the universe is coming in right now, and she's coming in as a mother who is desperate to grab her children out of harm's way, willing to yank them from the path they're on in order to bestow to them true freedom. This is the feminine aspect of God, which is called upon when the masculine is out of balance, not only within us, but within the world. And this is the divine I can't speak tonight, protectress who shifts the paradigm, and she cuts through the illusion, granting us the reality of our souls and what we came to manifest. This is referred to as a whole new way of being, which is taking shape for those of kind, compassionate heart and open, receptive mind. But we must pay attention. We must pause. The lyrics, you're in the details. Spirit reminding us once again that the greatest answers are often in the smallest messages. This is the alignment of Mother, Father, God on planet Earth and within the human heart, the sacred union, the divine parents taking control of the board. This is energy, which Spirit says is about as subtle as a sledgehammer, as we are stripped of what no longer serves us. The lyrics, you've washed away those stains, and the grace you've given is the reason I'll never be the same. How could I be silent? I will not be silent. And so we're really being asked to be the vessels of grace, to speak prayer, to speak love over our lives. And this moving through this turnstile of ending and beginning, Spirit says it sounds good in theory, but once again, it's not always comfortable or easy on our human small selves. It often feels as if the ground beneath our feet is shifting or turning to sand, and any and all illusions about ourselves and our lives, or who we think we are, what we're capable of, suddenly dissolves beneath us. Very disempowering to the small self. And yet it is the power of the Dark Mother to set things right. However, in the midst of this power, we can often feel like we are the victim of circumstance. It can feel like something is happening to us rather than through us or for us. However, in reality, the Divine Mother is holding sacred our soul's true purpose and calling, and she will not allow us to spend another second with a partner or situation which is not treating us with respect or which is not loving us. And she will help us to release a job or career which is not serving us so that we can be right place, right time to do the light work and to serve in the way that we came here to do. She severs all ties to our ego that we have made out of fear or the false beliefs that we do not deserve better or more. And any area of our lives where we're choosing to please others rather than our own soul and in tune with our own spirit will now be released. And Spirit said, shit's getting real. We must reckon with the fact that we can no longer skim the surface of our lives or who we truly are. We are not here to please others, to make them proud, or to meet society's deranged expectations, Spirit's words. Instead, we listen to the singular call of our own soul. We have entered soul time, where anything and everything is now possible. The ego is stripped to reveal the soul, which feels raw, vulnerable, and often heartbreaking. But ultimately, we must trust that this fierce love is the force of tremendous wisdom and strength which is invading our lives. And our greatest vulnerability is also our greatest power. We begin again from the bare bones truth of who we really are. The lyrics, I will sing through fire and thunder because you are on my side. I trust you with my life. I know my story isn't over. Even against all odds, you are a faithful God. And on that note, I will open the floor before we move into the next supporting energy. Spirit speaks to us shedding old skin. And the lyrics that showed up here were, I was losing control, falling deeper into the unknown, chasing ghosts, trying to break through these shadows of love. We've been living in a land of confusion, living from our cuts and our bruises, clocks spinning all the time, and we're losing every day, every day. We're walking in the midnight of blindness, searching for the road, but it's winding. We're looking for the turn, but can't find it. So we say, show the way. Shine like a bright star with a light that never fades. You're the light that never fades. Shine because it's who you are. So we give you control and we make you the source of our hope to carry us home and to fix the pieces and to roll back the stones. And so, once again, this feeling from the Creator, this longing to be our beloved, this desire to deeply allow us to know God as God knows us. And in order to do this, we must cast off the old. We must begin to reveal our true colors and talents and gifts to the world. This is the powerful medicine of the snake, the serpentine energy, which connects our earthly bodies to the energy of the divine and which allows us to remember our highest spiritual potential in human form. When the sacred ones saw a snake in nature or they encountered one in a dream, they knew that there was major transformation taking place. We're shedding our old skin and we are moving beyond the limitations that were abused by carrying this venom of negativity. And so these thoughts, these heavy thoughts are beginning to leave our fields, and this energy of renewal is washing over us. The lyrics, I've been waiting for a love like this. And so Spirit wants us to know that if we are feeling that our true self has not been recognized at this time, or possibly we've been misread by others, know that this energy is beginning to leave us now. And as we've been working through some of these old stories and patterns and limiting beliefs that we've accumulated along the way, we've also been peeling away all of the weaves that were creating these limiting or disempowering experiences in our lives. So our personal commitment to our growth has been recognized. And now the external world will begin to reflect all of the work that we have been doing within. If we feel someone we love has misunderstood us recently, Spirit wants us to know that soon they will be able to see beyond if we are willing as well to recognize our own challenges within the situation. This is a time of renewal, abundance, and connection to let ourselves be reborn and to celebrate. The lyrics, gotta keep it real simple. It's really so simple. Before I move on to the next supporting energy, I will open the floor once again. The lyrics, I've been asleep, head in the sand, watching the time just ticking. Clock runs around, days in and out. Can't really call it living. Somewhere I left life on dark, but here's where my new story starts. And the title of the song being Heaven on Earth, and this feeling from Spirit that so many are kind of watching the time just ticking away, that the clock's running in and day out, but we're not really able to call that we're living. We're just kind of going through the motions. And The stars have gone dim, so to speak. And so we're encouraged to remember that we actually do have this love within us, that we don't have to rely on relationships or situations outside of ourselves. In fact, that the tunnel we are moving through right now is the release of codependency, that we must ground and anchor and radiate our own light grids. And so, what this looks like is a lot of dissolving of any partnerships or any situations where we were not holding an equal amount of light. And so we're also going to be experiencing during this time challenges regarding our boundaries, as well as having healthy interdependent relationships. We're encouraged to be beacons of unconditional love. But in doing so, when we see the good in all situations, we also may struggle with setting healthy, appropriate boundaries. So, this is really about the balance of learning how to love fully by first loving the self and then establishing healthy relationships with others. And remembering that the love that we seek outside ourselves is already within us. We have this love all on our own. And partnerships are the mirror of this love that lives already within us. So we're now being called to review any ways that we may need to establish healthier boundaries, or ways perhaps we may have been showing up in an immature way in our partnerships or relationships. And perhaps we're in a codependent relationship in which we're feeling that we're losing our sense of self, or a situation where we're giving far more than we're receiving. Spirit says there might even be volatility to a situation or relationship, which is causing us to be not sure where we stand. This energy is asking us to do a relationship inventory and review, and to notice any energetic agreements where we've made consciously or unconsciously that are no longer serving us. Acknowledging any place in our lives where we're feeling anxious or powerless, or where we do not feel safe to relax and be fully ourselves. This is a moment to assess any inadequacies that we may have used a relationship or situation or career to soothe or cover up. The lyrics, even though I didn't know it then, it was a godsend. So once again, this feeling from from the call from last week, that even though some of these situations seem incredibly overwhelming to the small self, they are truly actually a godsend. We have one more supporting energy for the evening, and I will open up the floor one more time. The last energy for this evening is this call to see beyond the illusion, and in doing so, to trust the mystery with a capital M, that we must trust the behind the scenes workings of spirit right now within the invisible realms, with the full knowing and trust that the mystery is love and that the material world is an illusion, that our that our current conditions are not necessarily a reflection of the truth or of what is really going on. Great opportunities beckon from the shadows, awaiting the perfect time for illumination. So, this is all about divine timing and living in a state of receptivity and what Spirit calls active patience. So, we're not just kind of waiting for something to fall into our laps. We are living within the daily manna. We are receiving the codes and the messages within the details, as Spirit called it, within the small aspects of our weave. And we are trusting that the behind the scenes magic, the workings of Spirit within the invisible realms, is always working on our behalf. And it goes back to that faith only needing to be just a hair's width wider than our doubt. It doesn't have to be, huge, but we do have to be willing to see beyond the illusion. And so that is why a lot of our relationships and careers and just certain situations or dynamics in our life are feeling very topsy turvy, or like Spirit said, where the ground is like shifting beneath us at the moment. And that is because these endings and beginnings are necessary in order to make our dreams real. And this is all about, Sanctuary started a year ago, and the very first theme was creator or consumer. And so we've had a year to create, or we've had a year to consume. And in this time, what are we choosing to make real? So once again, this focus on endings and beginnings. What is ending in our life that is no longer serving us? And where can we step forward and really create a beautiful imprint on the board going forward so that we are creating a beginning that is worthy and deserving of who we came here to be? And acknowledging that we are moving through this time of shedding old skin, and that is not comfortable necessarily, but we have the love. Spirit wants us to remind us that we do not need anything outside of ourselves. And lastly, once again, to see beyond the illusion and to trust the mystery, that what we are seeing in our physical reality is actually the manifestation of our previous thoughts, emotions, and feelings. And so, if we want to shift our current circumstances, we need to shift it within the invisible realms first. And that is how we bring it down all the way through the channel onto the material planes and truly begin to make it real. With that, I'm going to close for the evening. If anyone has anything they would like to add before we jump on the after call, let me know. Otherwise, we will move into our prayer and close the space. And just want to thank everyone for joining us and really appreciate the quality of energy that we're able to create when we come together. And for you to take this time out of your busy evenings, it just means a great deal to me. So thank you again. And I will see everyone next Monday.